human soul with the free will surrendered, Arifin. Who do we call Arifin? Arifin उसको बोलते हैं जो मारिफत की आला मकामात पर पहुंचा हुआ होता है. The one with the most highest understanding, meaning he is one with Allah. So he had a free will, but he surrendered his free will. The difference between angel and Arifin is, angel only does what Allah wants him to do. Meaning he waits for Allah to order and then he follows the order. Arifin, they are at the highest rank than angel. Listen to me carefully. Arifins are in the highest rank than angel. Arifin makes angel.
Subhanallah. Subhanallah.
Because they have the highest understanding of the law of Allah. Because he is one with Allah. Living in this world, a mu'min like Pir Sadruddin, Pir Nasir Khusro, and other mu'minins throughout the history have reached that level where they are above the angels and above all of those ranks that we can imagine. They go much further and they become one with Imam, still living in this world, and then they surrender their own free will. Whatever they do, it may not seem right to us sometimes, or it may seem too good for us, or we may say, how can it be? Doesn't matter what they're doing, it is with the will of the Imam of the time. But it is us who not understanding what this person is doing. So sometimes we see Arifin doing things. One of the story of Pir Sadruddin, that one day he didn't show up for the morning Jamaatana or morning classes or morning lecture or wise in Jamaatana. So everybody started looking for him to see what happened to Pir Sahib. He was supposed to be here in the morning. And Pir Sahib were nowhere to be found. And they finally found him at one of the houses with one of the women. And they went over there and said, Pir Sahib, we need to go. What are you doing over there? Pir Sahib says, I cannot go because I owe this lady some money. And the lady will not let me go. They said, what do you need to do then? He said, why don't you go to Jamaatana? Did we not collect some money in Jamaatana today? They said, yeah. Said, bring that money and give to her so I can come with you. Or the some money. Mukhi Sahib, Kamar Sahib, or whoever had went there, they said, no, we cannot do that. What kind of pir are you? How can he ask us to give you the dasal money for something you'd have done bad? So they left. They left him there, and they said, we don't need a pir like that. Next Mukhi Sahib from next Jamaatana comes. And the next Mukhi Sahib from next Jamaatana comes. And finally, one of the Mukhi Kamra Sahib shows up and says, what's the matter? What's going on? And he repeats himself, says, I owe this lady some money. So if you give her some money so I can go with you guys. And they say, how do we do that? They go to Jamaatana, bring me the dasal money and give to her. They say, Labek. They go to Jamaatana, they bring the dasal money and give to the lady and take the Pir Sahib with them. And in Gnan it ends like this. So there were the only Mukhi Kamriya and the Jamaat that received the salvation. All the other Jamaat failed. The point was the Arifin does things that we do not understand sometimes. It does not mean they are wrong. It is us, the lack of knowledge within us that we don't understand. That we don't understand. But in the Gnan it said it was that last Mukhi Kamriya in the Jamaat who received the salvation. Due to their action. So what they did? They cared about the Pir and his hukam. Remember Peer Puchine Chalvano? You're supposed to do what Peer is telling you to do. Don't use your own intellect in front of the Arifin. Because the Arifin are with the Marifat, with the highest, most highest understanding. So that is one of the examples. Inshallah, in future, we will use the example of other Arifins and see how people mistake them or misunderstand them because they are not understanding what kind of imtihan or the exam is on them. So this was one of the argument here. And inshallah, in a few minutes, we will open the floor for questioning. Does Allah keep any power over our free will? Like it says, yeah, there are three situations in which Allah does not give us free will. And that is the life, and one can argue, did you not say last week that we have come over here with our own free will? Yes, with His permission. Meaning, we have our free will, but He has the power over it. And He can say yes or no. And that was your question earlier. The duration of life, how long we going to stay here, and the death are in the hands of Allah. So you may still wish to die before death, or you may wish to become alive. Now this life over here is of the two kinds. One, truly becoming alive in this world through ibadat bandagi. You can actually become alive. So the life that we are living today, it will looks like and sound like death. Because that is the actual life with the Imam, not this life. So we can wish that, but Allah is the one who can grant it and say yes, and with His permission we can die or we can live. We can wish. Wish is still ours, but it is Him who can give permission or not to give permission. Can free will be surrendered? Yes. And we have talked about this already. It is for the Arifin or the higher level of Mu'mineen. When a Mu'min starts to walk on a Sirat al-Mustaqim, he becomes Salik. And then he starts to do his ibadat with the Ismi Azam granted by the Imam. He becomes Abid. And when he successfully finishes that Ismi Azam and receives the Nur, again, the question you can write it down, not the first Nur that he will receive. We are talking about the highest level of the Nur and the understanding. When he becomes one with the Imam, at that place, he surrenders his free will to Allah. Meaning, everything else he does after that, he does with the tongue and the action of Allah. So there is a mashhur, very famous Hadith Qudsi, O Bani Adam, O children of Adam, follow me in true sense, and I will become your ears, your eyes, your tongue, your hands, and your feet, so you may walk. So we are talking about that level of Arifin, who have become one with Him. And in Surah Baqarah, ayat number 131, it talks about Ibrahim. He was the one, in the Quran says, I surrender my free will to you, my Lord. And that was the proof that we were using from the Quran. And that is the true sense of Arifin who would do that. This is the one I was talking about earlier, that we are sometimes arguing for free will and sometimes we are arguing without the free will. Both in one single paragraph. So When do we have free will and when we don't have free will? When we came to this world, we had a free will to say yes or no. Matter of fact, we were the one who volunteered ourselves to come over here with our own free will. And with the permission of Allah, we came. And we still have a free will. But if we don't use that free will to go back to Him, and we do things that we were not supposed to do, the burden on our soul due to the sin that we commit over here, it pushes the free will down and almost suppresses so much that we lose our free will. But remember, that is temporary. So how long do we lose this free will for? It depends on how much sin we have committed. How far down have we gone? Or at what level are we in? If we have just moved, and if we, I don't know, was this class or some other class, we were looking at a clock. And if we are at number 6 level on the clock, which is the most bottom number 6, and we were moving up to the number 12, and number 12 being one with the Imam, depends on what number are we in. If we have not even budged from number 6, then it will take a long time, and with one count, almost 50,000 years to receive our free will back. Because at that point, you have given the Jannat, but this Jannat is imposed on you. You are in there like you are in a jail. So when a person is in jail, even though he is free to do things, meaning he can walk around in his cell, but he's not free to go outside. He's not free to eat whenever he wants. He's given food when time comes. So free will is taken from them. That's what Imam Sulaiman just says. So if you wish to go to Jannat, even Jannat is a jail. There is only one reason that in Ismaili Tariqah, you will never hear or talk about the Jannat and Dozak. What talk do we have? We are here, we wanted to be one with the Imam. We are on number 6, we want to be on number 12. We don't talk about 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But it is our choice. If we wanted to be from 6 to 5, then so be it. That is our free will if we want to go there. But as soon as you get to number 5, you lose your free will. Because there is a Jannat where there is no free will. You are in that Jannat without the free will because you are put there as a punishment for the sin that you have committed. But it's not permanent, remember. It's just temporary. Once you repent, once you realize what you have done wrong, you move on until you get all the way back to number 12, because eventually everyone who have come down must go back to Him. Willingly or unwillingly, we all have to get back to number 12. So let's come to this one over here. If you remember in our previous lecture that we have talked about, that those people who have come over here with their own free will, but not with the full guidance of the Imam of the time, and we have said they will not be asked any question. And I know it was surprising to us because we always heard that til na lekha lese ji. We all have to be answerable to something. But here is Quranic ayat. In Surah Rahman, it says, you will not be asked of anything. Meaning there are different kind of people. Some, they will be asked of every single thing. And when Pir Sahib said, you will be taken the Hisab Kitab of every single second, yes, for us, we have to answer. Because we will have no excuse. We have the guidance, we have the knowledge, we have the Imam, we have the Ismi Azam, we have the Jamaatana. What else do we want? We have no excuse. So we will be asked and we would have to answer. But others who has nothing to guide them back, how unfair God would be if He said, how come you didn't follow my Imam? Imam? I had never even heard of Imam in my entire life. So the answers are on the rank. The higher you go. So if you take the example of our Jamaat, so maybe some in our Jamaat may not be answerable that much, but you definitely. Because now with this knowledge, you have no excuse. And if Imam comes and asks, Aziz Bhai, did you not tell them? I say, I will. I remember it was Faraz Shadi and we had a class at Barakat Uncle's home and I told them that. And you will have no excuse. As we go higher in rank, so I wanted to give you a little bit leeway here so we are not that scared. Actually, most of us may not even be answerable to. Most of us. Because Allah brings all of us with the one single soul, and that one soul is answerable to Allah. So as we go higher and higher, if you are answerable to Allah, meaning you are that one single soul, and answerable for the entire Jamaat. But until then, you are okay. You may have to answer a little bit here and there, but you always can say, Ya Mullah, he did not teach us good. He was not a good teacher. You just blame it on me. And then he will ask me. And I will say the same thing. I'm learning from you guys. All these excuses. Right? Ya Mullah, my teacher, he tried. Honestly, he tried. But I did not learn. Right? So, some people will have to answer and some will not have to answer, depending on what stage you are at. And I would say the people who will answer, they will answer happily. They will answer happily. Just think of it that you are going to Mullah and you are that one single soul. Okay? You are the one single soul and you are going there to Mullah. Mullah says, did I not give you all the knowledge and everything that you had? You had all the resources. Why didn't you not do this and this and this for yourself and for your family, for your children, for your brother and sister, for your Jamaat? Why didn't you do it? And you can say, Mullah, whatever ability I had, I did it to full of my ability, full of my power, whatever I had, whatever resources I had available, I did. And because He is merciful, He will see your niyat was good and you will be okay. Remember, in our religion, you don't need to be afraid of anything. There's no fear. Allah is not going to put us in hell. He's not going to burn us. He's not going to punish us. He is most merciful. Just believe that. He is most merciful. Only thing we have to do is we have to have a good niyat and we do our best. And that's all Imam is asking us to do. Just to do our best. Nothing more, nothing less. And all the other proofs and arguments, I think they are pretty much clear. In Quran, again and again, has told us that we have our free will to do good or the bad. And Allah has given everything to us. Everything that we could ask and everything we did not even know to ask. He has given us everything possibly that we can use in our favor to go back to Him as quickly as possible and become one with the Imam as quickly as possible. I mean, we are those fortunate few that have received the Ismi Azam from the Imam, and with all his du'ashish, and the time that we are living in, the time of Qiyamah that we are living in, it is much easier today than it ever was before. A lot of people think, if you ask Jewish, what was the best time in the world, they will say when Moses was alive. If you ask a Christian, you say when Isa was alive. And if you ask a Muslim, they would say when Muhammad was alive. For Ismaili, it's all good times because we are always with the Imam Zaman. And especially today, in this Diamond Jubilee, look at how Imam has given us Ismi Azam. And how much du'ashish he has given us. I think this is the best time. We are those lucky and fortunate mu'mineen, and I'm sure we are not just here coincidentally. We must have done something, or our parents must have done something, and with their dua and with their asking, we are here today with this Imam at this time, where he has given all that he had never done it before for other times and other ages. The willingly and unwillingly, we all have to go back to him. I think this is one of the most beautiful kulliyah, the principle in Quran. There is a hadith, I don't know what is the difference of that. It says Allah looks at the people and says that go ahead and use your free will. Do whatever you want. But when you get tired, come to me and surrender your free will, then I will take you to where I want to take you. And there's a beautiful ayat in Bible. It's Jeremiah 29:11. It says, Allah has planned for you. He does not want to harm you. That Allah says, you do whatever you want. But then, when you're tired, come to me and I will take you to the right place. I will guide you. So if you can pull that Jeremiah 29:11, it's a beautiful ayat in Bible.
For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future.
SubhanAllah. He said, He has a plan for us. But what do we have to do? Surrender ourselves to Him. Because when we use our free will, sometimes we may not be following His plans. And He would not say anything. Because that is your free will. But as soon we surrender ourselves to Him, then He has a plan for us. He wants to prosper us, not to harm us. Gee.
So, we are so blessed in this time that we have surrendered our free will in a way by taking Ismi Azam, going to Imam's huzur and saying that we surrender, we submit ourselves to you, Imam, and in return Imam gives us Ismi Azam. Our forefather used to call Ismi Azam Bada Kaam, the great deed, great work, Bada Kaam. In some Persian cultures, they would call it Kar-e-Buzrug, the work which is Buzrug, elevated. So the submitting our free will and taking Ismi Azam from him is such a huge blessings for us and a good deed for us, for our soul we have done, that today we are here gathered to understand Ismi Azam, the power of the free will, and know how to elevate our ranks. Because when we take the Ismi Azam, we don't realize that we are actually saying that your command is my will. Your farman is my will. I will sacrifice my sleep, my time, and I'm going to meditate. I'm going to do ibadah. And it is the barakat of that Isme Azam, that word, that in our heart we now are curious to know more about our religion. It's all due to that one submission of free will. So it is so important to understand the power of free will and the submission of it. We all have heard that humans can become angel, humans can become animal, but how to become? So one way of thinking is, oh my sins, burdens of waking up or coming to classes, or to think it in a way that we have submitted our free will. This is Imam's blessing. The more I do, the more I elevate my ranks. It is his will to prosper us. But when we don't understand that, then what we do? We use our intellect, the akle garizi, the intellect which is needy, and we do not follow the farman of the akle kul, because he, being the akle kul, is telling us, submit your free will. And this submission is also in levels. It's all about ranking. Today we submitted by taking Isme Azam, waking up for ibadat. Tomorrow, this class, I would say that after that we all have agreed to come and attend these classes, do our homework, learn. So level by level we are submitting our free will. We are using our time and our breath in his farman bardari to get to where he wants us to be, where we one with him. So I would like to request Barkat Sahib to end this session with this Ginan, Aati Adhina. Such a beautiful way, right? Peer is saying that I'm worried about my sins, but you know what? I submit my free will to you, and this is my Venti, this is my Giryazari to you, that make me say things, make me do things what you want me to do. I want to walk with your will, not my free will. So it's a huge thing to be human. The reason we are Ashraful Makhlukat, the best creation of Allah, because of our free will. That's the reason actually. Free will. Because we with our intellect can use our free will to whatever way we want. But with this understanding of this power, we submit this most valuable, precious power to Imam and we say, let us do what you will. So you would not blame me tomorrow. Because I don't want blame. We are scared, we are weak, we are feeble. So we want Maula Papa to guide us. Hold my hand, take me. Because I can't. When we say I know and I can, he says, okay, why don't you go do what you want to do? So that's where the test is. When we think of ourselves knowledgeable, capable, smart, intelligent, then he says, okay, go ahead and do. Then if we do that, all the blame is ours. But when we say Mawla, we submit our free will. That's beautiful hadith. O Bani Adam, follow me. If you do, then I will become your eyes. So what we see, what he sees, we see. What he hears, we hear. How can that be? What Allah hears, we'll hear. Imagine the power. What he says, it will come out of our tongue. So it's like that one soul we came from, Surah Nisa 4:1. We in this life, living in this world, become one with that soul. Then that Arif Kamil, Arif, is no more of this worldly person. He's elevated. What he says, what he does, what he sees, It's all being with the Imam of the time.
If there is an ayat like that, it says, "O Muhammad, he does not do anything at his own will. He does not say anything at his own free will."
Question hai? So the question, okay, what is your question, Shaf?
I have the same